state. And with that, I wanted to put us all in the, maybe not the way, way back machine, but a little bit of the way back machine. I live in both Anchorage and Homer, and the Homer News every week, I think it's the News, not the Tribune, but the newspaper every week has a 5 years ago today, 10 years ago today type thing. And something relevant that I wanted to make sure everyone referred back to from time to time is during the Palin administration, under the Climate Change Subcabinet, there was a group called the Research Needs Working Group. And I'm going to see, Meredith, if I can share my screen real quick. And I wanted to just give everybody just a couple minutes of a reminder of what that group did and what they found. So Meredith, can folks see my screen?
Yes, they should be able to. I can.
Great, thanks. Let me just run through a couple slides for you guys. So as I mentioned, it was established back in the subcabinet was established back in 2007 to provide advice to the governor and to help the agencies ultimately, actually the departments ultimately create their own climate change plans and strategies. There were 4 different working groups, and one of them was created on research needs, because they found, while we're talking across agencies and talking about cross topics, there was no single agency that was really looking at things across the board. No surprise there. Some of the things they looked at in terms of categories were the soup to nuts of everything from data collection to modeling, bringing in traditional knowledge, technology development, and you can read the bullets there. But it was quite a broad look at what Alaska needed in terms of research. The strategy, and here I'm paraphrasing a little, I actually put a graphic in here of what the bullets were in the report, but really it's looking at how do we establish and support some of the foundations for having better science-based decisions in the state. So there's some infrastructure, some planning, some process stuff, and some how do we use this in decision making. The overarching needs will not surprise anyone. These are everything from, we need more downscaled looks to the future, to we need more tools to help us make decisions. But specifically, as I mentioned, there was 4 groups. One was on mitigation, and mitigation in this sense is how do we control our carbon footprint? And that was a state-led workshop or working group. And they looked and came up with research needs recommendations related to energy supply and demand, forestry, agriculture, and waste management, oil and gas, and transportation and land use. I don't have time to go into a whole lot of detail on that, but this next slide I'm putting up to show you that these are 2 examples of the different kinds of research needs they identified. And what was really important to me, I thought, was that they related to the policy options that they were giving the governor. On the adaptation side, you had an overarching set that really had some key things in prediction and also a lot of heavy on the economic assessment. And since this coastal resilience collaboration team, we're trying to look not only at the biological and physical sciences, but also cultural and what's going on in communities to include the economic side. I wanted to really emphasize this, and you can see all the different economic activities that were looked at in the research needs report. And as I switch to the next slide, there was also health and culture addressed, community impacts, social impacts, research on subsistence. You can see the examples there, and many of them will not be surprising to you. There were also natural systems recommendations and also recommendations on what to do with public infrastructure as our environment changes. And that's just my 5-minute tour through the Wayback Machine to make sure that everybody remembers that this report is out there and a lot of great work was done, and it can be useful to us as we try to work our way towards the IARPIC goals and the goals of this collaboration team, as well as our individual organization efforts in the state. So here's the link to this report. You can also still look it up via your favorite search engine, Alaska Climate Change Sub-Cabinet Research Needs Work Group, and it will bring up that report, and we'll make sure we have it in the notes. With that, any quick questions before we bring our hour to the close?